Well, hello, hello, hello. I'm Jane Hogan, the wellness engineer, and this is Wellness by Design. And today we're going to be talking about sexual health. And it's really important for us women, for our overall health, men too, right? For our overall health to have good sexual health as well. So I've got a great expert with me, and that's Susan Bratton. Welcome, Susan.
Hey, Jane, so great to see you. Happy to be here today. And thank you so much for taking the time to include sexual health, intimate wellness, regenerative sexuality, all these things on your show. I love your show. You have great people, and I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, you're so sweet. You're so
Yeah.
sweet. I remember doing a little bit of research and it was talking about how having orgasms, for example, boosts our immune system,
Mhm.
and how when we have an orgasm, we relax, and that's good for our overall health. So there's so
Yeah.
many good things going on, but as women get older, maybe men too, I mean, I know they're having their issues as well, but there's a lot of things that tend to happen to make sex less enjoyable. So let's just talk about it, bring it all out in the open, because you are an intimacy expert,
Yeah.
and I know you got great things to share with this audience. So what are some of the problems that you see?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I'm not here to talk anyone into having any sex. So if you're listening to this show and you think we're going to make a case for you to have sex, we're not. You have to make your
Mm,
own case for having sex. You have to want it.
mm,
And there are a lot of people who, frankly, they're just not interested for a million different reasons. So on today's show, I'm really talking to the people who want it, but there might be an obstacle in their way. And that obstacle could be as simple as I've lost my libido. I'm not really interested in sex anymore, but I want to be. I want it, but I don't. I can help
mm.
that. I can help with that. If you don't want it, I can't help with that.
Right. Okay.
And I have painful sex. I have loss of lubrication. My orgasm seems more and more difficult to achieve. It takes forever. It doesn't feel as good as it used to. My husband doesn't stay as hard as he used to, or he has erectile dysfunction and we can't have penetrative sex anymore. And I don't know what to do. I don't have a partner, but while I'm dating, I'm worried about if I get a partner and I haven't had sex for so long, I feel like my vagina is fused shut. I'm really worried about that.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, but it seems like my vagina is so lax and loose that when my partner puts his penis in me, I can't feel it anymore. And I don't know what to do about that. I've never had an orgasm and I'm super frustrated because I think I'm the only one in the world who hasn't. Um, these are some of the things that are rolling around in women's heads. Oh, and by the way, I'm old, I'm fat, my boobs sag, my butt is big, my belly is poochy. I just don't feel very sexy. So, that's pretty much. I might have forgotten one, Jane, but that gets you 90% of the way there, right? I mean, this is what happens with women.
Oh my
And
gosh. Yeah. And not really talking about it either.
who are
Some are
they going to
talking
talk
about it,
about?
some aren't.
Yeah, and who they're going to talk to about it. You go to your gynecologist, they're not trained to really even fix these problems. They're there to check on vaginal bacterial dysbiosis and, get your pap smear done and do your breast check. Like they're a production mill. So, and God love them, they do all those things and they do them well. But what I really talk a lot about is regenerative treatments. And I look at the newest regenerative treatments in two ways. One, restoring lost function. That comes from the atrophy of aging, the fact that we're drying out and desiccating, the fact that we are shrinking, the fact that, things in our genitals get old just like the rest of us, Jane. So there's that piece of it, which is what I would consider regenerative or restorative treatments. And I want to talk about that. But then
Okay.
there's also just kind of sexual enhancement, taking what you have that's already working. If in fact you can, I can have an orgasm from a vibrator, but I can't have one from intercourse. How come I can't? Or things like that. Or my orgasm doesn't quite feel as good as it used to. I want it to be better. Or I want my vulva to be pretty again. And I look at those things as more enhancement, like
Okay.
the stuff still works, but could you make it even better? And that's where you get into things like sexual biohacking, where it's essentially the optimization of what you have, not the reparation, but the optimization. And they're two sides of the same coin, and they use the same treatments and modalities. So I think we should talk about those. But there's something that I think is very, very important to talk about first.
Okay.
And that is that most people think that libido, desire, and arousal are all kind of the same thing. Like, I'm just not feeling it.
Okay. So you're
And
saying there's a distinction between them.
there's a distinction between them. And I think that generally we women have been having sex, those of us that have been lucky enough to have been having sex, because a lot of women don't even get to have sex for one reason or another. You know, they haven't found a partner, or
Mhm.
there's something wrong with their partner, illness or what have you. So if if we're lucky enough to have a partner, that is, we've often been having partnered sex with what I like to call penis owners, men, the other gender, the other sex, not gender, because gender expression, of course, can be, you know,
Right.
sparkle, rainbow, multi spectrum. And penis owners have been having sex with us, and they've been having sex with us like penis owners want to have sex. And so essentially, we've been having what I would call patriarchal sex pretty much our whole lives, not the kind of sex that we would have if women ruled sexuality. And so, what I like to do first is I really like to explain what matriarchal sex looks like, because as women, if we've had 20, 30, 40 years of patriarchal sex, no wonder we don't want it anymore. No wonder half of us look at menopause as the excuse to get out of having the crappy sex that has been underserving us our entire sexual existence. So I think it's very, very important.
This is a great conversation.
Jane's like, oh my God, girl, I knew it was going to be like this.
Well, I'm so happy that you're brave enough to talk about this. I'm sure you're just
I
so
am.
used to it, it doesn't seem like it's brave, but I feel like I'm a little brave, right? To be having this conversation on the podcast, but it's
Yeah.
an important conversation. So yeah, let's hear about that.
I am lion-hearted. I am a courageous, I look like a lion, don't I?
You do your
I am a
beautiful
lion.
locks.
I'm lion-hearted. I love and take care of and speak up and have the courage to hold space for all those who desire passionate lovemaking. That's literally my passion is passion. And 20 years ago, in my second career, because I'm 61, I converted from being a Silicon Valley executive who had a massive sexual awakening because my husband and I almost got divorced because I didn't want to have sex with him because I wasn't having orgasms for a decade.
Mm,
And he wondered why I was kind of like giving him mercy, because I wasn't having orgasms. And
wasn't
here's
fun.
what I did was I started a company to teach people, a publishing company to teach. I've written 44 books and programs, Jane, on passionate lovemaking, how to transform having sex, which is what men have been doing to us, into making love, which is what we
Mm,
want. And
mhm.
so, yeah, at first, when I started talking about it, I had a lot of times I had lumps in my throat because we have a lot of repression and shame. And, that's just a part of our culture. But here's what I've noticed. When you speak to people like grown-ups, and they are grown-ups, they know how to take it in, and it's not too much for them.
Mhm.
So a lot of times when podcast hosts start a show and they're like, well, we're going to be talking about sex today. If there's any little ones in the room, turn on this bit. Like I say I literally stop them and say, we have to start the show over. You have just put everyone into shame mode by doing
Right.
that. Hey, we're going to be talking about one of the most important aspects of your life, your sexuality. Your sexuality is the other side of the same coin of your lust for life, your passion for living, your creativity. It is the seat of your power. Let's talk about it. What's going on? Like, that's the kind of intro we should be having, right?
Not
And so
not
thank you for
only that, not only that, I believe it's the time when we connect to our spirit. I mean, it's the
yes,
time when we totally
for
let
sure.
go, right? And we
Yeah.
are connected to that higher version of ourselves. I think it's part of why we're here on earth. It's to experience the sensory part of life. So it's a
Yes.
it's a big part of our life. Let's make it better, Susan.
Let's do it, Jane. One of the programs I want to give you is one of my programs is called expandherorgasmtonight.com. And I think I gave you a VIP account with things in it. If I didn't, I will do it. If you
You did.
want it, let me know. Expand Her Orgasm Tonight is a clitoral stroking technique that allows a couple to get into a conjoined trance state of pleasure that allows them to actually have such an elongated orgasmic experience of pleasure together that they touch source, they touch God, they touch Gaia, they feel connection to all living things, all creatures of consciousness.
Mm,
So I know that sounds woo-woo to some people, but it is truly spiritual sexuality is the
yeah.
path that I have been on for going on 20 years. And I still have an expanded orgasm practice with my husband of 31 years that I think is the cornerstone to our intimacy, our passion, and our deep limbic and loving connection to ourself and to all
Mm.
through that stroking, simple stroking technique. So expandherorgasmtonight.com should go in your show notes. I'll send a copy of it to you. It's a guided video series. You can watch it with your partner, and it's just an incredible lovemaking practice. But let's get back to patriarchal, matriarchal, libido,
Yeah.
desire, arousal, because I want to parse a few things out before I get into, okay, what are the next steps now that you know how to remediate or optimize from a physical sense? What do you do in the mental sense? And I don't want to leave people hanging without that. So let's keep going. So men have a competitive advantage sexually, a number of them. Male-bodied partners. Number one, they're testosterone dominant. We have testosterone, but we're estrogen dominant as women. And so men are hornier all the time than we are, which is why it's helpful when, if we're with a male-bodied partner, they initiate sex, because if it's up to us, we'll never initiate, seldom initiate. Typically, that this is typical. I'm on a big bell curve with sexuality. There's
Right.
people on both ends. I'm talking about the mass majority of people are in heterosexual monogamous relationships where he's horny all the time. She's only horny once in a while. She's always happy she had sex when she did it, usually, if she's lucky, but she's not always the one who's like, I want you right now. And that's because he wakes up horny. If he's healthy, he has nighttime erections. He wakes up with an erection, and he masturbates on a daily or multiple times a week basis because he's biologically wired to top off his sperm so that he can pass on his genes. It's just a part of what he does. We don't have that same need, so our masturbatory practices are much fewer and further between. We have a 5-day horny window, 9 days after our period, when we might initiate sex, that when we're going into ovulation. But
Right.
generally, we run with the moon. Sometimes I have this little, your podcast listeners can't see it, but I'm holding up this kitty cat, this little stuffed kitty cat that has a lion's mane little costume. Yes, they make Halloween costumes for your cat. And I got this silly thing because sometimes I say, sometimes we're a lioness and sometimes we're a kitty cat. And we never know when that is. And it could change in a moment's notice. And that's because we're very moon cyclical in our desires. So they're hornier. They're playing with themselves every day. They're waking up with an erection. They're just thinking about sex all the time. And so they have this thing called fast acting hemodynamics. So now I'm holding up a banana for your podcast listeners, and I'm going to explain to you that if this was a penis, this banana, imagine a yellow banana, half of the erectile tissue system in his penis sticks out of his body, half goes inside and down toward the back, toward his testicles. So a banana, double the size of his penis, that's erectile tissue. And it's in 3 straight shot chambers. And when he thinks about sex and gets turned on, if he's healthy, he gets a hard on super fast. Now take that same whole banana, peel the skin off, and all the meat that's left inside, all that erectile tissue, turn it into a donut. Wrap it in a circle instead of in a straight banana. Wrap it in a circle and put it around your vagina, your vaginal opening.
Right.
That, with a little peak at the top that is the tip of your clitoris, that's your clitoral structure. It literally wraps around our vagina, but it has a lot of nooks and crannies, and they take a while to fill with blood. And so what happens is our guys are ready to go. They want to penetrate us immediately. We don't love it that much that he's not that good at foreplay. We don't really know what we're doing. We haven't been trained. We're just procreating, mediocre sex. Most people haven't read one single book about sex. They haven't watched my video series. They haven't read any techniques. And so they're doing pretty mediocre sex, which isn't very satisfying for her. And they're rushing it so fast, she never really achieves a full erection, a clitoral erection.
Mhm.
And so if you think about it, when a woman's clitoral erectile tissue is flaccid, it's small, just like a tiny little penis, right?
Right.
And then when it has enough foreplay and full body pleasuring, hair stroking, gentle kissing, breast play, nipple stimulation, running your hands all over my body, rubbing my feet if they hurt, whatever it might be, words of adoration, appreciation, encouragement, sexy music, the temperature's right, there's soft
All
towels, the
right.
right lube, all those things are in play for her. Then she has a chance to get fully erect because it takes her 20 or 30 minutes to get enough blood flow to her pelvis to get her erect. And he's been erect for like 28 minutes already. And so rush, 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 sex, sex, sex. She never gets the full plush expansion of
Mhm.
her erectile tissue. And the more erectile tissue is expanded, the more surface area it has. It literally gets bigger. We get a clitoral erection all the way around our vagina. And when we do that and you stimulate it, it sends way more pleasure signals to the number one sex organ, which is
The brain.
the brain. The brain is what's processing all that pleasure. So if we're flaccid, it's processing 1/10 of what it would be if we were erect.
Oh.
So patriarchal sex is fast. It's grab a boob, stick it in, have an orgasm, get done, go eat a sandwich.
Mhm.
Matriarchal sex is kissing, adoration, full body touch, sensual massage, breast play, oral pleasuring, a yoni massage. Yoni is a tantric lovemaking word for the female genital system. Yoni, Y-O-N-I.
Really?
And lingam is the male appendage, is his manhood. And I like those words because they're better than vulva, and
Yeah.
vagina is just the sheath. And I don't like the slang word so much in a show that's medically oriented. So I use yoni and lingam.
Hmm.
And when women for the first time have pleasurable touch with warm, sweet almond oil, organic sweet almond oil on their mons, on their outer labia, on their clitoral hood, on their inner labia, on their perineum, on their fourchette, on their belly, on their groin, on their breasts, before anyone ever touches their clitoris or goes inside them, they have a breakthrough experience where they're like, oh my God, this was what I was missing my whole life. And most women never have it once in their whole life because we're with male bodied partners who are so much further ahead of us in their arousal. Our arousal takes a long time. We have a slow arousal pattern. It doesn't mean once we're aroused, we need a couple guys. I mean, we can outpace them like you wouldn't believe. We've got stamina for days. We've got orgasms for days once we get the stimulation we need. But the stimulation we need isn't what guys need, it's what women need. And that's what hasn't been going on for most women. And they're like, oh, I could take it or leave it. Of course you could leave it. It hasn't been good for you.
Right.
So libido is how's your health? The minute your health is bad, your libido is down. They're two sides of the same coin, libido and health. It's
Mm.
directly related to your physical health.
Mm.
It's not your hormones, it's your overall health. It's your gut microbiomes. It's your ability to manufacture neurotransmitters. It's your mitochondrial energy stores. It's the elasticity of your joints so you can get into sex positions. It's everything. Desire is, how do you feel about yourself? If you're full of self-loathing, if you're beating yourself up about cellulite, which we all have, if you're beating yourself up about your saggy boobs, which we all have, if we have any boobs at all, this is what we look like. And so if we don't love ourselves, we're not going to feel in the mood. And if we're pissed at our partner outside the bedroom or inside the bedroom, because frankly, you know that book, Your Body Keeps the Score?
Yes,
I
such a
should
good book.
write, your yoni keeps the score. Every single time you had not quite satisfying sex, It is a brick in the wall to your future
Yeah.
sexless, reality. And that's what happens is, even if you don't think, she knows, your yoni knows, she knows exactly what you want at all times. And so a lot of women say, I don't know what I want, I just know what I'm getting is an it. And I say that is not true. Tune into your intuition, tune into your yoni. At every moment she'll tell you what she wants. Just tune into yourself and you'll know. Trust your intuition and your wisdom. Your body wisdom is there to not only protect you and keep you safe, but to give you the pathway to incredible pleasure. I mean, we women have 20 different kinds of orgasms we can have. 20.
Hmm.
And some of us are barely managing to have one direct clitoral stimulation orgasm. All women can orgasm from intercourse alone without even touching the tip of the clitoris, because we have this marvelous erectile tissue system. We can have G-spot orgasms, ejaculatory orgasms. We can have breastgasms, footgasms, kissing gasms. We can have so many kinds of orgasms, and they all come from practice. So I think that's the most important thing to understand, is that there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. It's not your hormones. It's the fact that you've had a lot of crappy sex that didn't serve you your whole life. And now, if you're still with me and you're still with Jane here on this podcast, it's your time, girl. It's your time. And your sex is better in your 60s. I'm having the best sex of my life, Jane. The best at 61, the best, incredible. And
I
that's
like to hear that.
because I've learned a lot of skills in the last 20 years. I've taught a lot of skills in the last 20 years. And by the way, I don't work one-on-one with people. This is all through my books and programs. They're readily available. Most of them are free downloads. You can get free things from me forever without buying anything. It's no problem. And because I have skills, and because I've done these regenerative therapies, which keep my vulva, frankly, looking beautiful, like gorgeous.
I love the way it's so linked to our overall health. And then we just really have not been practicing. We've been neglecting our yoni and what
Yeah.
yoni's looking for. So it's a matter of the word you used was skill, acquiring skill, right?
Yeah, it's all
Um,
learned.
yeah. Okay. So you mentioned about the restorative part of
Yeah.
that right on the end
Yeah.
there. So let's touch on that, Susan.
Okay. So a lot of times when you talk to biohackers, and I'm a sexual biohacker, we think about things in what's called a stack. We stack things one on top of the other that are synergistic, because your diminished desire, your loss of lubrication, the painful thin tissue in your vagina, the atrophy of your clitoris, the loss of sensation, the incontinence that you're feeling. Like, I'm not walking down that aisle with all the pads and depends. I'm not wearing pads in my pants every day. No way. And so we run into these issues, right? So
Mhm.
all of these issues that you have are from aging. And the stack of things that restores them restores different facets of that loss, so that you can get your body back to where it used to be. I feel like my vulva is about 35 years old, not 60 plus years old. It's plump. The labia are plump, not saggy. The clitoral structure is meaty and responsive. The inner labia are super healthy. All of the tissue is very pink and plush and beautiful. I'm highly lubricated. I really often don't even need to use lube. I'm so lubricated now.
Mm.
And that's because I've done, and I have to chase my incontinence. So it's not like you do any of these things one time and you're done. No, you're continuing to age. It's just like putting face cream on, or
Right.
having a facelift and still needing to manage things, or whatever it might be. You're aging as you go. So you're going to keep doing these things over time. So the number one thing on the bottom of the stack that is the foundation of all is nitric oxide. So many people think it's their hormones, and it's not. It's actually the loss of nitric oxide production. By the time we're 50, we have half the nitric oxide production capability we had when we were 20. Nitric oxide is the signaling molecule that sends our blood where we need it, to our brain when we're thinking, to our heart when we're exercising, to our pelvis when we're making love. We don't have blood everywhere all the time. We need to move it around our body, and we can't get it into our pelvic bowl when we're turned on if we don't have enough nitric oxide. And we can't get the erectile tissue to be plump enough if we don't have nitric oxide. So I have a publishing company and I have a supplement company, and I have a supplement company and I make sexual vitality supplements. And the number one product I have is called Flow, FLOW,
Hmm.
because I looked around and I realized that most nitric oxide boosters are made from pesticide-laden corn byproducts
Yeah.
or pesticide-laden beet GMO modified crops. So I made a product from organic fruit and vegetables that helps your body produce more nitric oxide. So it's called Flow, and I'll give you a link for my special podcast page. Oh, you've got it in your
I
hand.
got some.
Fantastic. Yes,
I've
I
got
sent you
some.
some. It's at Buy Flow Now. You can put that in your notes.
Okay.
BUYFLOWNOW. Women take this, and within 10 days, they're like, my God, I am so wet. I can't believe it. I mean, like, I never thought I'd be this wet again. And I give it to my husband, and now he's able to take like a tenth of the Viagra dose he used to have to take to stay hard. So replacing nitric oxide stores is ground zero for your sexual health and your cognitive function and your vascular health and your edema and you need nitric oxide for everything, including producing estrogen, which, by the way, nitric oxide and estrogen are siblings working together in your
Did
system
not know
to
that.
give you estrogenic availability. Yeah.
Huh.
As a matter of
Wow.
fact, Felice Gersh, who you had on a couple of episodes ago,
Yes.
I just took a full day nitric oxide workshop with Dr. Nathan Bryan, and Felice was one of the speakers, and she spent an hour talking about all of the aspects that estrogen relies on nitric oxide to work for us.
Amazing.
So you want your skin plump, you want your vagina thicken, wet, nice. It's estrogen with nitric oxide. So taking nitric oxide is number one. Number two is there are two options that you have here. One is a kind of do it for me, and one is a done for you. And you can do them together as well.
Okay.
One is something called FemiWave. And FemiWave it's analogous to Gaines wave for men. It's an acoustic wave that is applied on the outside of the body, across your mons, across your clitoral structure, across your outer labia, and across your perineum. And it sends these waves down into your body that essentially do a tiny little bit of damage, that then generates the hormesis that repairs and grows new tissue, new nerves, new blood vessels. And it helps with incontinence, lubrication. I'm crazy wet these days. I mean, my partner is like, my God, girl, this is so hot, how wet you are for me. And I'm like, I know. Isn't that so? It's a signal to us. It doesn't correlate with how turned on we are, but it's a signal to us that we're like, oh, we're ready. We want it. It's
Right.
nice to be wet.
Yeah.
It gives you vaginal tone, so you don't get so much laxity. It thickens the vaginal mucosa. It helps with incontinence. It shores up the pelvic bowl and the bladder. It gives your clitoris more meat and reverses the atrophy, so you feel more orgasmic pleasure. And it's aesthetically beautiful because as you age, your labia start to sag and they look like man scrotums after a while. And it plumps that back up again. So you have this pretty yoni full of blood, and the tissue's all working, and you don't pee your pants, and there's lubrication galore, and your orgasms are like, oh my God, this is what it was like in my 30s. That is available now in FemiWave. It's incredible. And then if you want to also do things at home, this is another device that I can show you. The FemiWave is just a little wand that they roll around the outside of your body. It's the easiest thing in the world. And then there's an internal device that's also nice. If FemiWave's not available near you, or you don't want to go have treatments, or this just sounds better. This is called the VFit, and it's a women-owned business. I love them. And It has 3 modes, and what I'm showing is this kind of like, I don't know, how would you describe this, Jane? How would you describe this little thing?
It's shaped like a penis.
Yeah. But it's
Um,
curved. It's like a
it's
curved,
curved.
smooth,
You
white.
just, it's very smooth. You just turned on like a red light.
I did. And it
So is it like infrared light therapy type of thing?
Yes, it's red light that you put up inside your vagina. It's photobiomodulation to stimulate mitochondrial growth of the vaginal mucosal lining, which gets thin as we age. Just like our skin thins from loss of estrogen, so does our vaginal tissue. It's skin. It's just wet skin, like the inside of our mouth. And this red light is fantastic for remodeling the glycogen in our vaginal microbiome, tightening and toning, because it has both like a vibration that gives you Kegels and a warmth that recollagenates the tissue. And
Hmm.
so this works really in concert with FemiWave as well. I mean, you could just do FemiWave, or I like to do everything, Jane, because I just want to keep my vulva. I mean, it's my job. I have to have great sex all the time. I know, rough stuff here over here in Susan Bratton land. But this vagina device is, I use it very frequently. I use it in the morning. I put my red light hat on to help stimulate hair growth. I put my red light sleeves around my upper arms so that I don't get that crepey skin. I put the red light in my vagina, and I scroll Instagram and see where you're swimming today.
That's funny. I've got some red light therapy, which I absolutely love, but
Yeah.
it doesn't get inside.
No, it
So
doesn't. And so I love this. It's at
yeah.
vaginadevice.com. You can learn about that. And then the next thing on the stack is PRP, platelet rich plasma. There's something called an
Mm.
O shot. If for your guy, you get him a P shot. So you get your guy Gaines wave, you get him a P shot, and you get him a penis pump. And those 3 things work perfectly for him to restore his erectile function. And for you, you get the O shot in your clitoral structure. And PRP, basically, they take a vial of your blood. They put it in a centrifuge. They pull off the white and red blood cells. They're left with the healing factors or fibrin-rich matrix of your blood supply, which they then concentrate into a tiny little needle, practically like a diabetic's insulin needle, like a big nothing. They numb your clitoral structure and your G-spot area up inside your vagina, right at the entrance, and they inject it into that erectile tissue. It soaks it up, and then it begins to restore and reverse the atrophy of the clitoral structure. For many
Amazing.
women, it's the bridge for them to having maybe the first orgasms of their life, if they've waited a long time to have orgasms, or the best orgasms of their life. And it took me 2 O shots when I was 55 and 56 to really begin to feel the difference, because I was pretty atrophied when I started all this sexual biohacking. And now I've had 7 of them. I have a lot of access to it. My best friend is like the world's renowned O shot giver, Dr. Robin Benson. If you haven't had her on, let me
Oh,
know.
heard of her,
If
yeah.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And getting an O shot from Robin is just like heaven. She puts on this goddess music, and oh my God, she's so in her zone when she's doing them. So I just have this most incredible, intense, orgasmic pleasure from all of these things. I don't pee my pants. My labia look young and pretty, and my vagina is wet, and sex doesn't hurt, and it's fantastic. And I'm just going to keep doing that till the day I die, because we deserve to have awesome intimacy, especially in the second half of our life when we have more time to slow down and have incredible pleasure if we take care of our bodies. So that's sexual regenerative medicine and biohacking. And those are some of the things that I recommend for that. So I just want to let you know about that. And you and I were going to go through orgasmic cross training for women, but I know you've got to leave for your event. I can come back and we can go into female orgasm and orgasmic cross training in the future if you'd like to. I'll leave that
I
open, because I sure adore you and would love to keep spending more time with you.
I think that will be awesome. And you just really, I think, given so many people hope that
Yeah.
they don't have to, accept what the situation as it is now, or get worse, or be missing that whole aspect of their life,
Yeah.
which is such an important aspect of our life. It
Yeah.
goes with health. which is beautiful. But you've also like talked about these other additional enhancements, the biohacking, sexual
Yeah. Femi
biohacking.
wave and vagina
Yeah, the different
device. They're
things.
so good.
Yeah, different things people can do. I mean, I live in Newfoundland. I don't think I can get an O shot around here anywhere. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
but you come down here to the States, and when you come
Yeah.
down, let's get you one.
Okay.
Yeah, and you and the VFit is available in Canada too. So
Okay, I'm gonna
no
look for that.
problem.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll
yeah.
send you the link to it. It's available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing I'd like to talk about when you come back again, Susan,
Yeah.
is also let's talk about the men. I do have men in my audience as
Yeah,
well.
I'd
So
love to.
let's talk about them
Oh yeah.
and other things that can help them because like we said, this is such an important part of who we are
Yeah.
as I think a spiritual being having a spiritual experience in a human body. This is part of who we are. And so
Yeah.
we're meant to enjoy it. That's why it's there. And we there's too many people missing out.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And over silly little things that can be fixed. To give
Yeah.
up your intimacy over silly little things that can be fixed is a non-starter. Go
Yeah.
fix them, and then you can begin this incredible journey of pleasure, which you and I will talk more about the next time we get together.
Yeah.
Good.
Susan, I always ask my guests, so this show is about living intentionally
Yeah.
and also people getting healthy. So I love to ask the guests, what's one thing someone could do today to create health, to begin to heal? And it can be on any topic you want. But what's that baby step they could take today? What would you say?
I think the baby step is taking nitric oxide supplement. I really do. I mean, Flow or anybody's that you want. I think that you will feel so much better when your vascular system is getting the blood flow that it needs to your brain, to your heart, and to all your parts. It's just like part of your exercise program. It's a supplement that makes an incredible impact for people of both sexes.
You know, a lot of people may not even know that there is such a supplement, right?
Yeah.
I when I knew you were sending this flow stuff, but when I looked at it, I was like, it's nitric oxide. Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So what a great tip. So people can go have a look for that. They can or look for yours. I really
Yeah.
like you that you said yours is organic, right? It's
Yes.
not using the a lot of the chemicals and stuff. So of
None.
course we want it. We want, yeah, none, no chemicals. We want to do that for ourselves, right?
Yeah,
Because we deserve it.
we
We
do.
deserve the best. Okay, and what's the best place for people to find you, Susan?
Well, you can find me on Instagram under my name at Susan Bratton if you're an Instagrammy person. But really, my website, personallifemedia.com, is searchable by the over 2,500 articles I've written on every aspect of sexuality and sexual health. So if you go to personallifemedia.com and you have a particular area of interest, just type those keywords into the search box and you'll get many, many articles from me. And then I have a website at betterlover.com that has hundreds of videos that I've produced that is all searchable as well. And one of the ones that I'd really love your listeners to watch, especially with their partner, if they're lucky enough to have one, is there's a couple of them. One is how to make love to a woman. One is yoni massage step by step. And another is passionate lovemaking. And I
Oh,
think those three are really good videos to kind of get you started in this, transforming having sex into making love, the matriarchal way of having sex, giving you some ideas of things you might like so that you can ask for them and help your lover understand the kinds of things that your body needs to feel pleasure because they're using the golden rule. They're treating you the way they want to be treated because that's what they know. And you
right.
need the platinum rule, which is treat your partner the way they want to be treated. And your partner's willing to do that if you just give them some guidance and they can hear it, they can take it. They're grown-ups just like we've been today.
Yes, we deserve the platinum experience.
Yeah.
Susan, thank you. I'll link those
Thanks,
videos there
Jane.
so people can find them easily. And
Great.
I so appreciate your
My pleasure.
passion for passion, that you're doing this great work in the world and really helping people improve their lives. So thank you so much for the work that you do and for being a guest today.
Thank you.
And thank you to all the audience for watching, for listening. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, please share this podcast and all the links with them. And you could be changing their lives for them. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye for now.